Hi, this is Denise Matthew. I hope you're doing well. Back again for another week of the transits. A few things happening this week. We have a new moon on, I believe, Tuesday, so I'll talk a little bit about that. And we have the Mandala of Life continuing on. You can check out the community tab, and I'm always uploading videos weekly so that you can have a little bit more information about the gate. So let's get into the transits. So if we look at the new moon that's going to happen on May 11th, we can see that we have the 2343 transiting. So we always have an opposition. So when it comes to the gate 23 or the gate 43, if they're transiting in either the earth or the sun, then you're always going to have the opposite gate, which will be making a full channel. We all have a defined ajna and throat for this particular transits. So we might be getting some downloads. This is new moon energy. So it could be new innovations, new sparks of things that are happening, because a new moon always brings something new to us. It's interesting because when we get to the second quarter, we get into Taurus energy. And Taurus is really about material things. And it is ruled by Venus, which talks to material goods. And again, it really makes a lot of sense when you think about that the quarter of civilization is where we're actually bringing things into form. The other thing to talk about is that we have a full channel 3536, and that's between Mercury and Neptune. Neptune has moved into the gate 36 from the gate 22, and I wonder if anybody's felt the difference, if in fact you felt the difference between a gate 22 changing into the gate 36. Because so for instance, if you had a gate 12, if you have a hanging gate 12, you might have felt this as a full channel for quite a while, and now you may not necessarily have that channel anymore. And that was an individual energy, and it talked to the idea of a passion or a creative energy and individuality in general. The other thing is now we're moving into a collective energy, and this is a collective abstract energy, which is all about experiencing things. The thing we might notice with this energy is that our expectations about what will happen in our lives might be a little bit more than normal. This is a channel of expectation, basically. It's a channel of transitoriness. So it's always about finding a new experience, finding something brand new to experience, because that's a lot of how we learn as humans. Our experiences give us a basis of where we can build from the experiences. So we have a lot of talk about individuality this week. There's a lot of individual energy, and we do have potential, like I said, for some downloads when we have the 2343 being transited by the sun and the earth. So let's see how that works. There could be some level of melancholy too, and also this idea that we might want to blurt out the inspirations that we're having to other people. But remember, this is projected energy, and even as a transit, it is always going to be better to have the invitation for the energy so that people can actually ask you for what you can give. Another thing about this energy is that it is all about simplicity, and it is all about the concept of making things simple so that people can understand. It is the 2343 is a channel of structuring. It talks to the idea of making things easier for others to understand, to break it down, and to be able to deliver your mental process to people in a way that they can understand. If it becomes too complicated, then people won't understand. So it is an interesting new moon. And the one thing to remember about a new moon is it is kind of setting us up for the next 2 weeks. It is setting a theme for the next 2 weeks. So this is the theme that we are looking at. And all the energies that are built within this new moon can be part of what's going to show up in the next 2 weeks. So it is beginning a new cycle. New moons are always about something new. Right now, the sun is in the gate 23, and that we always know that the gate 23 is always going to, just like I just said, it's an opposition, one of the three oppositions, which is where they land on the mandala, where they're exactly opposite one another. So they also form a channel. This is unusual. There, like I said, there's only three: the 3420, the 2343, and also the 3740. So we know that because of that, we have more people with this particular definition of the 2343. So we have a lot of people with some level of individuality. Ra Uru spoke to the idea that these three oppositions, because they are so prevalent, as in they become more people have this energy, and more people have this definition based on these transits, that they do have more influence on the collective. The channel 2343 is also called the channel of structuring, as I said, and it is about just trying to get that thing from your mind, whatever it is, into the reality, into the world, into the collective. And it is about individuality, that's trying to break into the collective, that's trying to penetrate the collective, because that's what individuality is all about. It is all about trying to bring your own spin or new idea into the world so that it can be adopted by the world, so that people can actually start to use it in their world. I remember a long time ago, we went to an indoor water park, and there were it was like it was built into a hotel, and there was a whole indoor water park. And I remember looking down into the water park, and I was stunned, because I said, once upon a time, this was just someone's idea. And now look at it. Now it's something that is in the real world, and people are there playing in the, water park. And it was like pretty big. And so that's what this energy can do. It is a concept that that is like the most mundane part of it, this manifestation of a tangible thing. But this can also be, something that we're learning, as in some type of theory, for instance, like human design theory. Ra Uru, who said that a lot of this was a lot of what he channeled, because it was an unconscious 4323 that he had, was channeled from the 4323. And a lot of times he said that he wouldn't even know what he was going to talk about, only that it just kind of came spontaneously. So he was given a voice to be able to decipher, to decode the energy of the gate 43. So we think about the gate 43 as insight, or this spark of individuality that talks to something that is, we don't know when it comes. It just comes whenever it feels like it. And we get that spark. We know that the ajna is an awareness center, and all three awareness centers have different ways of being and different ways of working. With the ajna, it's about clarity over time. And the longer you have to marinate, or allow that to marinate, the better you can be able to articulate what exactly you want to say. The gate 23 is where you articulate it. It is a decoder that translates what you might consider a foreign language that comes from the gate 43, the foreign language from individuality. The other thing about any individual energy is that it's going to be auditory. So there can be this connection with being able to hear things, and being more in tune with an auditory way of learning, or an auditory, in anything in auditory in general. Music might be something that really inspires you, or in the way that it's more impactful than it would be maybe to somebody else. The other thing is the 4323, because I am talking about the whole channel, because that's what we have, because we have the earth right now in the gate 43. Lots to be said about the gate 23, and I did a whole video about it. So if you want even more information, you could check that out. May 14th, we have the sun moving into the gate 8. This would be considered the mirror of the gate 23, because if you look in the body graph, we have the gate 23, and then right below it, we have the gate 8. And so it is sort of the mirror of that energy. And if we look at the whole way that we have this progression, we have a thought in the gate 43, moves into the gate 23 where it's spoken, and then it moves into the gate 8 where we start to try and get it into the collective. The gate 8 is all about trying to infuse this energy into the collective. So this is a place where there's some level of trying to connect with the collective, trying to show the collective this new and mutative idea. The whole thing about this energy is that you are trying to get your point across. If you think of the collective as the popular group, and you're trying to break into the popular group so that they can, I don't know, take you to the places where you want to go. And how do you do that? Well, you could try and assimilate and be part of the group and sort of lose your individuality, or you could be who you are, but still have your contribution. The latter is always what you want to do, because the biggest fear for individuality is most times that you're losing yourself within a group. And that's the whole idea, is that you want to be who you are always, and yet you still want to be part of the collective. And so there's a balance, there's a fine line between the two. And when you get to the balance between the two, you can have your contribution, be part of the collective, but also completely retain your individuality. It's half of the channel of the creative role model, the 1-8. We do talk about the idea that this is creative leadership, but I guess we could say it in a loose way. We call it leadership, in that it is not like you want to lead people. In fact, instead you want to just be yourself and people sort of tap into that energy about who you are, and they like what you have to say. And this is where they're following you because of you, and they want to be part of the group because of you, or they want what you have because of you. So a lot of times I'll talk about Martha Stewart. Now, Martha Stewart has this energy, the gate 8. In fact, she has it twice. She has it both in Uranus and Jupiter in her body graph. So it is her gift of what she gets when she does her Saturn. And so if we look at Martha Stewart, I mean, she's an individual and she does her own thing. And yet she has this whole group of all the things that she does, and people follow all this crafts and skills and all the things that she's always been known for. People follow her and her expression of who she is because they like what she has to deliver. And that's what this energy is all about. It's all about people liking what you have to deliver, but yet you're still retaining exactly who you are. You're not sort of becoming something else because you want to fit in. And she did infiltrate the collective with Martha Stewart. I mean, basically, when you think about it, someone's name, like I can say her name, and I would say that at least half of the people that I hear me say that name will actually know who she is and what she does. And another well-known person that has this energy who goes just by their name is Madonna. So they retain their individuality by actually just having their name as their persona, as who they are, as their brand. So that's what this energy is all about. It is about pushing your mutation into the world and yet retaining your individuality, and people wanting to follow what you have to say just because they feel that you have something of value. The catchphrase, like, so if we look at the gate 23, the catchphrase for that would be I know, because all of the throat gates have some level of I and then something I blank. So I know would be for gate 23. For gate 8, it's I know I can, or I know I can't. Now, because there's always going to be the duality. So for gate 23, it could be I know or I don't know. And then gate 8 is I know I can, or I know I can't. So that's the energy. So you're moving from I know to something I can. So that becomes more of a manifesting part of it as opposed to just thinking about it. And on May 14th, we also have Earth transiting the gate 14. Now, all those people who last week were commenting about the fact that they have a hanging gate 2 and sometimes they struggle with direction. Now, this is a time for you to actually check in and see, how do I feel when I'm getting the fuel that I really want? So if you have a hanging gate 2, this is a great week for you to really check it out. And this is as of May 14th. It's a few days into the future, but as of May 14th, check it out. See what it feels like. What does this fuel feel like, this planetary fuel? Now, this is coming from the Earth. What does it feel like? This is the best part about it, is that as we go through these energies, we can start to look at how they impact us. And people are saying things like, the one thing that I we're talking the community page and we're having interactions there, and people are talking about transits and how they feel with these transits. And this is the whole point, to understand that the planets are actually interacting with us. They don't make us do anything. That's not the thing that planets do, but they do influence us to do certain things. And then you put the gate on top of it, and then you have sort of a theme of where you might be influenced. Now, there are certain times that you're going to be more influenced by what's happening because you have a hanging gate, or you have that particular gate that is defined. And so it would be something more impactful for you. And then there's other times where you may not feel it at all. So if for instance, if you don't normally have a sacral defined and suddenly you have sacral energy, how does that feel for you? Does it feel a lot different? Can you sleep? Because I know that some people say that if they don't normally have a defined sacral, and then they get the definition, they start to feel like they have more energy and they can't sleep, and that type of thing. And do you feel like, when the transit goes, do you feel like you have no energy anymore, or do you feel like you're spent, like maybe if you go out and in a public area? So those are really great questions to ask yourself, to journal, to figure out how it's actually working for you. And because of that, you can really start to get in touch with your body graph and how you operate and all those types of things, because the planets are something that are transient, where they come and they go. Now, if you're in a relationship with someone, you're always in the influence of that energy. So you don't really have a break from that specific energy. But this way you get it on, and then you get it off. And then of course there are going to be longer transits based on the slower planets. And you can always look at those as well. But it's a great way to check in with the energy and see how it works for you. So will we see more luck? Will we see more luck in the manifest world? Because whenever we're talking about the earth, we're talking about the Maya, we're talking about what's happening in the world. Do you have more of a chance of, if you buy a lottery ticket, do you have a potential chance of winning it? I don't know. I'm not suggesting you should do that, but I'm just saying there's questions to those types of things. Do you have more direction? Is money easier to make when the gate 14 is transiting? Is it easier to make if you have the hanging gate 2, or is it easier to make just in general, even if you don't have any definition in that respect? So lots of questions that you can ask yourself as the transits go through. Right now, Mercury's in the gate 35 and it's slowing down considerably. And what we're slowly going to do is we're going to end up with it becoming stationary before it starts to move back. And stationary means it stops. It literally stops for like a very short period of time, and then it starts to retrograde or move back. And when we talk about a retrograde, I'll talk more about it as we get closer to it, because it will happen, I believe, on the 28th or 29th of May. So when that comes, but we're going to be going over a lot of the same gates. Right now, Mercury's in the gate 35, and it's taking a little bit more time. Last couple of weeks, we noted that Mercury was doing 3 gates. It was going through 3 gates in 1 week, as opposed to now it's going through 1 gate. Eventually it will really slow down, and it'll only be 3 gates that we're getting for almost, I believe, probably a month and a half, really, because it's going to be really moving through the same energy. And one of those gates will be the gate 45. Right now, like I said, it's making a full channel, and that full channel is with Neptune, as I spoke about. So this is all about the experience. This is about talking about the experience. This is about wanting to learn about the experience. Mercury is all about what people are discussing in the world. It is about, oh, let's make plans for doing to go on a trip or to do something different. So it would make sense, because a lot of people are planning for summer holidays and those types of things, of actually starting to travel again because of the pandemic. And there is more opportunity for some people to travel more. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but there are some people who have an opportunity to start traveling more. And things are starting to open up in certain places, although they're very well closed in other places. So this could be talking to the experience of what exactly you're going to have, and actually making plans to actually go somewhere, and maybe even experiencing things right in the moment. But usually when we talk about Mercury, we're talking about something fast, and talking, basically just discussing what you're going to do, and a communication of some sort. And on May 16th, the Mercury starts to transit the gate 45. And now this is talking about leadership. This is talking about the tribe. This is that when we talk about the gate 45, this is part of the only channel that is a throat channel that goes directly from the will center to the throat. This is where we get this idea of manifestation happening through the tribe. This is the voice of the people. This is leadership, but it's always going to be entitled leadership. In other words, it is a king or queenly energy. It's a very regal energy. It's about people saying, oh yes, you're a leader, you can be our voice, and you can tell people what we need. You're our voice. But because you're our voice, we will support you, but you also have to support us. You have to make sure that we have enough as well, because it's all about resources. Anything that's tribal is all about resources and being cared for and those types of things. So talking about being supported, talking about you're okay to give something, but you also feel that you need to receive, and you'll follow the rules, and you'll be part of the group or the tribe, but you also have some level of expectation of what you're going to receive, and that you're not getting what you feel is correct, in that you're not being supported. When you are supporting the leadership, then there could be problems with that. The other concept is that we might actually, in the news perspective, we might start to hear about energies of regal energies, or people, kings and queens, or people who act like kings and queens, who are in the news, and then we're talking about what's going on. It doesn't mean it's negative. It just means that we might hear about it, because it is Mercury, and it is sort of the media and those types of things. Right now, Venus is in the gate 20, and it is the gate of now, is existential energy. It is about right now in this moment. We talk about Venus, we are talking about the idea of resources and beauty and relationships and those types of things. And some level of feminine energy, again, doesn't necessarily have to be female, but like a feminine, softer energy. Venus is going to bring some level of sort of good luck to the energy of Mercury. So we might hear better news, and I think that that is a trend we're actually looking towards, because as May progresses and we sort of get into the middle of May, that's when things are starting to. It feels like there's more luck in the air, because we haven't had a lot of luck. As I talked about Jupiter last week, we haven't had a lot of luck in the last sort of year or and a half, because Jupiter hasn't been in its best, it hasn't been its best self. So now we have Venus sort of adding to Mercury's, the energy of Mercury, and helping Mercury to communicate in a more elegant or beautiful way. So those types of things. And we could also talk to the idea that there is this unifying energy that Venus is actually activating when it gets into the actual gate 20, which is talking about let's get together, let's figure out things. And also looking at, sometimes we're always looking forward to the new relationship, or we're looking forward to the amount of money we're going to make, or the material things or resources or those types of things. What Venus is talking about in the gate 20 is, what do you have in this present moment? What can you be appreciative of? Where are the benefits in your life? Where are the beautiful things in your life? What are the things that you can be thankful for? And not always looking at the future to see what more you're going to get, or you're looking at right now in this moment, what do I have, and what do I have to be appreciative of? And that is kind of the energy that Venus is bringing to the gate 20. May 14th, we have Venus moving into the gate 16, and this is bringing enthusiasm. We had Mars going through the gate 16, which brought a more of an aggressive need to get more skills. And now we're looking at the idea that Venus is saying, okay, let's get some more skills. What are some skills that Venus might like to do? Skills with taking care of money, skills with relationship, skills with beautiful things, skills with making something more beautiful. So maybe you want to take something, some sort of a course that is starting to beautify things, like interior decorating. I always say that, but there's a lot more. Maybe you want to take a painting class. Maybe you want to take a singing class, or you want to take something that you're sort of building up your skills. Now, there is always going to be, with the gate 16, a dipping of your toe in the water, and understanding that you not necessarily have to stick with it, but if you do, there is potential that you can actually get mastery out of the energy of the gate 16, because it does feed into the gate 48. It's a full channel, which is a channel of talent. So there can be talent that builds from the gate 16 when you're finding something more beautiful to express yourself with, and whatever that is. So it's looking at developing a talent, a beautiful talent. Maybe you're a beautiful dancer, like I said, singing, or it doesn't have to be those specific kind of things, but anything Venusian. Maybe you have you're having more skills with the relationship. Maybe you're taking a marriage counseling, or partnership counseling, and it's starting to make things better, and that you're learning better skills with how to communicate with your partner. So there's a lot of ways that this could show up. Right now, Mars is in the gate 39, and this is the gate of provocation. And the whole point of the gate of provocation is it is an individual energy, and the whole channel is a 3955, and it is about this idea of provoking people into the abundance of spirit. In other words, provoking people into the concept that the universe does have our back, and that we will be supported and provided for if we open up our hearts and allow the universe to show us the way. What we can see is that that's the beautiful side of it. The other side of it is just provoking to provoke because it feels kind of fun to do. And that can happen as well. With Mars in there, there is more of an opportunity to get provoked in a way that you feel angry, because Mars can be very assertive and very sort of in your face, you could say. So there is potential for that. But then there's also potential for you quickly to be provoked into the abundance of spirit, to quickly be provoked into the concept that the universe does have you covered, and that you are being supported even if you don't necessarily see it. And I think the most important thing that we can always say is that change comes no matter what. We never know when it's going to come, only that it comes. And it doesn't always have to be bad. It can be good, and good things can come out of the blue, and we have no clue until suddenly it just sort of shows up. So we could see this provocation. Yes, of course, there's always going to be the shadow side of it, but the other side, like I said, is spirit consciousness opening up to something new in a very quick way. Maybe somebody does something to you that makes you angry, but that anger manifest into something different because you start to look at the world in a different way because this anger sort of lights something within you. And that's what the whole point of this energy can be. But again, if somebody is coming for you and you feel like they're just trying to provoke you just because, this would be the time to really watch for that energy and maybe just to pull out of it before it gets into something that really doesn't want it. You really don't want to get into. May 18th, we have Mars going through the gate 53. Mars going through the gate 53 is really where we always have the sun going through the gate 53 at some point in the year. But I think that when Mars goes through the gate 53, you have to remember it's only going every I think it's about 2.5 years that the Mars cycle is for the whole mandala. So it's not as frequently going through the gate 53. So this might be where we get these big pushes or drive to actually start something new. And with the gate 53, the thing is the most thing is that you have this urge, you can potentially have this urge to plant a lot of seeds, to start a lot of seeds. What happens is you can plant a lot of seeds and then sort of lose interest in all those seeds. And so they never really do much other than they sprout and then they just sort of die back because you don't actually come back and work with them, because this is part of the 5342, which is a full channel, and it's a channel of cycles. So this is where we have something that you sort of start and it never quite gets where you want it to go because you don't have that sort of stick with itness because it doesn't feel like it's of value. What happens with this energy in the highest form is that you actually are starting things that you want to put time and effort into, things that you've thought about, things that didn't just come in the spur of the moment, things that you've planned for, things that you want to get going. And this is a perfect time to get those things that you might have been wanting to start getting started. So this is starting a new cycle. And it's also, if you are somebody who has a gate 42 and you find that sometimes it's difficult for you to initiate, to start new things, this is the energy that will bring you that complete channel, which means that you can start to potentially initiate those things that have sort of been rumbling around in your mind and you never really felt like you had the energy or drive to do it. This can potentially give you the drive and energy to actually start those things that have been rumbling around in your mind. As of May 15th, we have Jupiter finally moving into the gate 55. And this actually feels like a very positive shift where we're finally starting to get some of that nice luck from Jupiter, or that abundance from Jupiter, the things that Jupiter's known for, the expansion, the ability to actually be able to go out and actually do something and feel like you're not just pushing a stone up, you're not just pushing a boulder up a hill, you're actually starting to get some level of momentum. The hill, you finally get to the top of the hill and you start to get a little momentum where you're starting to push that rock, and it's much easier to push now because you're actually having a little bit of momentum. This is only a little tester. It's a taste of what we will get next year because Jupiter will be in Pisces for the whole year next year. This is a taste of what we will be having, and it will go back into the gate 55 as well next year. Until July 26th, we're going to have this energy. So let's see how it feels. Does it feel easier? Does it feel more fluid for us? Now, for a little while, we're going to have, from the 15th until the 18th, we're going to have a full channel of 3955. So that's going to give us this whole energy of the abundance of spirit and provocation and the whole channel of an emotional channel, but there is some level of creativity and individuality and that type of thing that we might start to feel. What does that feel like when we start to have this defined root? And if you don't normally have a defined solar plexus, or even if you do, can you feel a difference? So we're going to be getting that full channel, and it'll be interesting to see how that manifests and what we see coming, because it is going to be more of a balanced energy. So we have Mars and Jupiter sort of working together. Mars is provoking and Jupiter is expanding this abundance of, and it can be abundance of things coming and things happening and feeling more positive and hopeful for the future, because Jupiter does have this expansive energy that will kind of bring that positive energy into the gate 55. Remember though, because the gate 55 is one of those energies that it does come with some level of hoarding and sometimes emotional eating and those types of things, to remember that sometimes there can be too much of a good thing. So that's something to think about as well. Although I would say let's celebrate it if we can. all the other planets stay about the same. And that's about it for the week. I hope you have a beautiful new moon, and you get to plant some really brand new seeds that you're happy with. I will be back again next week. I hope you have a super week. Take care. Bye for now.